Hello everyone and welcome to Noah's Mock Draft. Definitely not the branding for someone else's thing. You know how a mock draft works, I don't need to explain it to you. I'll be going through every single team in the first round and giving you who I think that they should be selecting. This is less predictive and more me telling you what I think you should do because I can't tell what's in most of your minds most of the time, so we'll just see what happens. Yeah, let's just get right into pick number 1 for the Pottsville Maroons. So with the first pick, I'm going to go with what the man himself said he's going to pick, which is Trey Tucker, the running back from Tucson. Trey Tucker was dominant for a lot of the games in the Rise League. He cooled off a little bit towards the end, but if you're looking for someone who can go between the tackles, who's going to get yards after that first hit, he has an average of 8 yards after the first hit, which is a lot more than anybody else. He is the kind of running back that Dave is looking to get. I don't think there are any other running backs that are what he wants. So I think Trey Tucker would be the perfect pick for number 1 overall. Next up we have the Montreal Berserkers, everyone's favorite team. And they have a lot of big picks to make this offseason, less than usual, but they still have a couple of first rounders. With the first of their first round picks, I think that they are going to go and find themselves a linebacker, because they do need some linebacker help, and I think the guy that they're going to go get is Wyatt Zuspan. Second in tackles, he is a guy who is all over the place. He played for the Raleigh Oaks this season, and I think they need someone in the middle of their defense, and bringing him in, a good coverage linebacker as well as a tackling machine, I think he could be a great option for them to bring in. And next, unsurprisingly, after the trade that we made this morning, I have Colin going with wide receiver Jeremy Ohlinger from the Long Island Beavers. He just gave up Joshua Pearson, Showtime, and he got traded for a gold tight end, Cooper Stroker. So bringing in a number 2 wide receiver is something that Montreal is going to be looking to do, and I think that Ohlinger could be that guy. He had the most receiving yards in the series with 443. He had 15 yards per reception, 3 touchdowns, which is tied for second. He did get targeted the most, so there may be a little question of the volume there, but I do think this is a top-tier wide receiver. He is rated as a gold for good reason, and we'll be seeing him probably going to Montreal this season. With the 4th pick, it looks like we're going pretty chalk so far, with Terrence Hudnall going to the Washington Wastelanders. Hudnall was far and away the best quarterback in the Rise League, with a QBR of 108.4. He threw 8 touchdowns, 3 picks. He was the only quarterback to throw more touchdowns than interceptions. So this is the best quarterback you can get, the only gold quarterback you can draft, and I think Washington definitely needs that. So they're going to go with the most pro-ready talent in Terrence Hudnall, and they're going to take him and hopefully, for them, make a playoff run. While this may not be the pick that Nolan is hoping to make, I think it's the pick that he's going to have to make, and go with running back Aspen Leathers from the Boise Grizzlies at number 5 overall. Aspen Leathers was the leading rusher in the Rise League with 475 yards. He averaged 3.3 yards a carry and had 4 touchdowns, so statistically, he came out on top, and he had some monster games. He is a boomer-bust type player, but he booms a lot, and he may not be Trey Tucker, which is who the Federals are hoping to get, but I think Aspen Leathers is a great option. And they need that powerhouse on offense, especially when you're going up against the likes of Colin in your own household. So I think Aspen Leathers is a great choice for Charleston right here. Speaking of the Pierce Collective, I think that the Federals could draft Colleen Pierce at defensive line from the Beavers. Colleen Pierce was the leader in sacks with 4 in only 5 games played, so that's a pretty consistent output. I think that if you draft Colleen Pierce, keeping it in the family, slide him down to defensive tackle, fill a need, because Colleen Pierce does have the size, so I think this would be a great option to put on the defensive line, bring some pass rush, as Colleen Pierce is 6'6", 317, fits right in, gold player, locking down that defense for years to come. So the next pick is, of course, my Jackson Crabs, and this is going to be one of, since we are telling our plans, this is going to be one of my potential targets in the draft. This is Algie LeCue, the safety from Boise. It's no secret that I'm going to be drafting a safety at some point in this draft, and going with a great community member, a player that did well enough to earn a gold spot like Algie LeCue could be something that I go after. Next up, we have the Santa Fe Prowl at number 8, and I have them selecting Chad Kruger, the cornerback from the Fargo Freeze. He had 4 interceptions this past season, and he was number 1 in deflections with 7. This is a guy who was all over the ball at all times. Fargo really got a lot of use out of him. Santa Fe, they need help at a lot of different positions, and I think bringing in a corner would be a great way to fix their defense just a little bit. And he'll go right up alongside Lion Nikita and balance out that defense, make it look really, really good. So that's my pick for the Santa Fe Prowl. Up next, we have the Louisiana Steamers, and the Steamers, I have them going with wide receiver Morbius Molyneux. They have a new rival in town. It's not just about beating Colin. You now have Jake in the mix in this reality. They need a number 2 wide receiver pretty badly, I think, so taking a guy who was really good in the season, like a Morbius Molyneux, who was, I believe, 2nd. I go back to my list. I believe he's 3rd in wide receiving yards. This is a guy that played really well for Boise, and I think he could play really well for Louisiana too. And at number 10, I have the Jamaica Hummingbirds going with Chuck Kitt. I think it only makes sense that they draft a quarterback here. He is the number 2 quarterback in passing yards, and he was okay as far as touchdowns to interceptions is concerned. He is available to be drafted as a silver, and I think that they kind of need that. So I think that Jamaica's going to be taking Chuck Kitt right here and making him their starter, and we'll see how it goes from there. But I think that having him in there would be a way to help them stay consistent, stay in the playoff hunt. Back to Charleston we go, and this time it is for safety Matt Bradley. Matt Bradley is another person that I have my eye on, if I'm honest. He was tied for 3rd in tackles with 32. He played really well for Long Island this last season. I think that he will be on top of Charleston's board, of course, but we'll see if they're able to snag him. I think if he slides to 11, he would be stupid not to pick him up, and I think he will. So Matt Bradley going to the Charleston Federals right here. And then with Miami at number 12, I think we stay in the secondary with cornerback Art Vandelay, the 4th, out of Tucson. I think it just makes sense. 3 interceptions for Art Vandelay. I think he'll be coming back to Miami as a player once again. But this time, under the watchful eye of Coco, I think that this is a no-brainer. I think that's just what's going to happen here. So, Art Vandelay going to Miami. Once again, returning to Charleston, this time for defensive tackle Julius Orange out of Boise. I believe that this guy is going to be coming in. He is the 2nd-rated defensive tackle. He is absolutely a monster, just like Dave was talking about on the show the other day. Just a dominant force flying in. He's going to be a really hard guy to stop at 6'10", 344. He's going to be hitting quarterbacks all over the place, and I think that Charleston, putting him as their number 2 defensive tackle would just be scary. Now, Montreal doesn't have a ton of holes left at this point, but I do have a spot that I think that they could use some help on. That's their offensive line, and I think that they should take tackle Forrestal Hickman. He's coming over from the Freeze. He is our only user offensive lineman, so I think that Montreal bringing him into their locker room would be really, really useful. He is 6'7", 330, so a dominant force on your blind side. I think Forrestal Hickman would be a great choice. Sliding down to the Federals at 15, I believe they will be taking wide receiver Broderick McFadden, 6'5", 230, former high school quarterback, moved to wide receiver, goes to the Fargo Freeze, and has a really dominant season there, with 403 yards, second in receiving average with 20. So this is a guy that's going to get a lot of chunk plays for you, and I think that having that in the Federals organization is something that they really want to do. And I also believe that Travis Stafford will not be playing wide receiver for them, so bringing in Broderick McFadden as a 2 or a 3 would just be really great for them. Coming in, replacing the huge shoes of James Woodson at tight end, is going to be Matt Van Meter, who has some really large feet also. This is a guy that is just, he is impossible to beat. 6'9", 250. He's going to be a big play threat at the red zone. Just toss it up, he's going to catch it. Put him next to Bobby Blizzard, 6'8", 245. I think that's impossible to pass up. Those two would be insane at the goal line. So bringing in Matt Van Meter, because I think that would be really, really dangerous. And finally, for Charleston in this draft, the second Mullinell comes off the board. Jake Jr. coming in, he'll play slot corner for Charleston. I think that that's a no-brainer pick as well. Jake Jr. really came on late to get himself into a good position to be drafted. So coming over from the Boise Grizzlies, I think this would be an awesome selection for Charleston. Moving on to the penultimate pick in the first round, the Lincoln Spiders are a team that really wishes they were drafting a lot higher than they are, but they aren't. But they do have a guy that I think would be really great for them at this point. That's Amadi Ayodele at safety, coming over from the Raleigh Oaks, led the way in interceptions with 5. He was instrumental in the defense for Raleigh, and I think that Lincoln definitely needs a safety. They need a lot of things, but they definitely need a safety at this point, and I think he's the best player on the board. So bring him in, slot him in at whatever safety spot you want him, and he would be an awesome addition to Lincoln's defense. With the last pick in the first round, I think the Indiana Lynx go with a guy who's also named after a Midwest state, Illinois Jones, the safety out of Tucson. He is a very good player. He's still one of the top safeties left on the board. 4 interceptions for him, and he was tied for 6th in tackles with 31, so he was a monster of a player. I think Indiana needs that kind of player. Bring him in. Either side of the safety will work great. I think that would be perfect for them. So that is it for my first round mock draft. Obviously, 19 picks. I probably got 0 of them right, but that's okay. I'm not here to be right all the time. So what do you think of who I have each team selecting? Let us know in the comments and in the Gen chat. Dave put out the challenge to make fun of him if I wanted to. I'm not making fun of him. He's doing his work. If you want to make fun of me, you can do that too. Because I think it's only fair. Everybody, please put out some mock drafts. We have a little while to wait, so it would be really entertaining to just go through everybody's spots and see who everybody else thinks everyone needs. So that'll be it for me. Make sure to check out the other videos that I've been doing of the different rosters for this off season, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.